Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. Today I have a video about coats. I've kind of been going through the process recently of reorganizing and just a little bit decluttering my wardrobe. It's like a new year, fresh start, fresh wardrobe. That I will probably talk about in another video. I feel like that's a whole thing in itself. But while I was going through things and while I have been going through things, I noticed that my biggest kind of collection of one single item is coats. I love coats and outerwear, jackets, anything like that. I feel like they are just my jam. They're my favorite thing. And I'm just gonna go through my collection and show you what I have. I don't really have a collection of anything else. I don't think I could do this on t-shirts or jeans, but coats, yes. I would also like to award a prize to anybody that correctly guesses the amount of times that I'm gonna say the word coats in this video. I'm sure it's gonna get quite tedious, but you guys know what you're signed up for. So I'm just going to go through each one and talk a little bit about it, where it's from, what I like to style it with, and I wasn't sure if I should include blazers in this. I obviously do own quite a few blazers and I like them very much, and I kind of treat them as coats and that's how I wear them, so I'm going to talk about them here, and that's going to be the first section on this rail, which I have to say is a little bit wobbly. I'm hoping this makes it through the rest of the video. So let's start with coat number one and the first of the blazers. This is one of my most worn blazers. I think that's probably why I keep it on the end here. And it's from Arket. I've had it for about a year, going on a year and a half now, and I honestly have yet to find an outfit that doesn't quite work with this. So today I've just put on a really like minimal all black outfit, which I hope is gonna show off all of these the best. So this is what it looks like. It is an oversized blazer. I really just automatically go for the rolled sleeve in this. I didn't even think about that then. I like to roll my sleeves up most of the time, especially with these kind of slightly bigger looking blazers. It's actually so light. The material has just no weight to it at all, and I feel like that's great for layering because I never feel like I'm wearing too heavy of a coat. It is one of my absolute staples. So the second blazer I have here is very similar. It is another black, slightly oversized blazer. This one is from Everlane. This one has much more of a stiff texture and it's actually a wool blazer. And I find this one's a bit more long line and a little bit more on the fitted side. I sized up when I got this just because I wanted it to have that oversized look again, but it still does feel like it's just that little bit smarter. But as you can see, definitely goes a lot longer down on my body. The arms are a little bit more slimline too, as well as the shoulders. I find the shoulders pretty much sit just over the edge of where my natural shoulders are, whereas the Arket one is a little bit more of a drop shoulder. Everlane are a great place as well, I think, to look for blazers, and this is one of like their core styles that they just always have. It comes in about 100 different colours and it is a really great investment. I think a black blazer in general is one of the best things you can invest into your wardrobe. So next is a cream colour lighter blazer. This is a very oversized dad style blazer. That's actually how it's described on the site. And this one is from ASOS. It is a really oversized 80s look blazer. It even has these little like cuffs that are hemmed to look like you've rolled up the sleeves or to make it easier to do so. Very charming. This is probably the longest of all the blazers that I own. Really comes down quite far. I didn't even get this in a bigger size. I think this is just my normal size, so it is designed to be very big. Some of the details that I love on this and that I love on all things in general, we've got little tortoiseshell buttons. I like it when there's like a pocket just to break up some of this material going on here. That's one of my favorite things too. This type of blazer obviously again works so well with any type of outfit. One way in particular that I really like to style this is maybe like on an evening out with a pair of jeans, skinny jeans, and some heels and then a little top, and I feel like just the oversized look of this really counteracts that slightly more dressy feel. Next is another beige blazer. This one is from Arket as well. I do have a big lot of love for the Arket outerwear section, and this is actually very similar to the first black one that I showed you guys. It's oversized, it has that dropped shoulder. I've done a little bit of a DIY moment here where I have actually pinned up the sleeves with a safety pin. Can't necessarily recommend you guys pin your clothing like that. I've just taken it through the lining mostly. This is always a bit tricky to get on, but once it's on, it does work. So you can see this one is a lot shorter than the ASOS one, a little bit less of that big, really like vintage looking style, but it still has a lot of oversized elements to it as well. I really love the color of this because it fits in with the rest of my wardrobe so well, but also I find that it doesn't make too much of a statement. So you can like throw this on top of anything really, and it's a little bit easier to wear maybe than a black blazer if you find that when you put one of those on it just looks too overdressed for your style. Next we have something a bit different. This is actually a linen blazer from Zara in a really gorgeous dark khaki green colour. Now this one, there's not a lot of shape to it. It's a very unstructured kind of loose material. There doesn't seem to be much tailoring in this one, but I think again it's one of those pieces that just falls really nicely once you have it on and drapes really well on top of a slightly more structured outfit. So that kind of juxtaposition of the two is really great. I like this colour a lot. I think it's one of the slightly more different things that I have in my coat collection, this khaki green. It fits in and it works with all the other things that I do own, but it is just slightly different. So that one is from Zara. Next, I have one of my favorite things, and this is where we really kind of cross the boundary from what is a blazer into what is a coat. These next two really sit straight down the middle for me. So this one is from & Other Stories. This is the famous & Other Stories blazer. When I got this a year or so ago, this is the only one they did. Actually, I think there was also a black. Now though, there is just so many different colours. I think they've really engaged the fact that it was very popular and just done as much as they could with that. This one I find is not the easiest to layer. And because of the thickness of the material, I think it always looks a little bit more structured. I do sometimes wish that I had got this in a slightly bigger size just to have a bit more of that oversized look with it, which I think would then make the structuring work. But despite that, I still get so much wear out of this. I love pairing this on top of like a cami dress or something really feminine and floaty, especially in summer. But it is a really warm one too for winter. If you've got like a nice turtleneck with this, I like how that looks. And the material is very snug and very cozy, so it feels good to wear. And then we have this, which is it's kind of one of my pride and joys in my wardrobe, despite the fact that I don't really get as much wear out of it as I thought initially I would. It's the only grey blazer I have, one of the only grey coats that I own. And again, it kind of sits somewhere in between blazer and a coat because it's so thick. So this is a Stella McCartney blazer jacket, whatever you want to call it. I've had this for a good 3, maybe even 4 years now. I was probably quite a different size when I bought this as well because it doesn't fit me the best. Despite all of that though, it's something that I have found really hard to let go of, and I don't ever really want to say goodbye to because it's such a great staple piece. It's actually kind of a checked, if I get closer you can see the pattern. It's a houndstooth type check, which from far away does look grey. Something about greys and cool tone shades I do find it a little bit harder to style. I mean, you really can't go wrong with this and an all black outfit, or blue jeans and a white t-shirt. Something like that is always going to work so well with this kind of blazer jacket. This one is quite long as well. The whole cut of this and the style is just perfection. That's originally why I went for it, because it just is very classically shaped. I'm actually really gonna have to think about this more and try to wear it more often, because it was and is probably the most expensive item I have in my whole collection by quite a lot. And for me, when I'm investing in something designer like this, I really make sure that I am wearing it a lot, so the cost per wear goes straight down. So moving on from blazers, I then have a couple of jackets that are also sort of in between. These are shackets, that's actually the real name for them. They're a shirt style jacket, so it kind of just looks like a shirt but isn't much thicker material. These are a little bit newer to me, but I love them. They are the easiest thing to throw on top of anything. I feel like on the weekends I live in them because they're just so simple. I did my food shop in this one yesterday. This is from Stradivarius and it's in this really gorgeous like light taupey colour. And I've said this before about shackets, but the key to I think really making them work is to get one that is quite oversized. You can see with this one at the back, it really does drop down, so it just looks like I'm wearing a really thick oversized shirt. I love how the arms of this one are like very ruchy when you move them around. They kind of billow and go baggy a bit. That's great to me. It's got these big pockets here. The only problem with this one is there's no pockets further down. I am such a hands in pocket person. When I walk around, I feel like I'm just constantly doing this, trying to find somewhere to put my hands. But regardless of that, this is one that I love. This is from H&M. And is very much the same vibe. I'd say this one is actually a little bit thicker and a bit warmer because it is lined. The Stradivarius one isn't. The colour of this one is gorgeous. It's a really rich, like taupey sort of brown. It's maybe a slightly less oversized look than the other one, but it has all these great detailing at the top. It has pockets here and you can put your hands in them like this, which makes me very happy. Tortoiseshell buttons all the way around this too, loving that a lot. Something about these is just so simple and so easy. They're great for layering too. You can get all sorts underneath them because they are so oversized. I just have a lot of love for the shacket. Who would have thought? This next one is also from H&M. I wouldn't necessarily call this a shacket, although it is very much along the same lines, styling and structure wise, and it is very, very oversized. I think I have this, in an extra small, and it is still pretty huge on me. I feel like if I were to have got this in my normal size, it would have been ridiculous. This one I like wearing a lot with sort of a very casual sports luxe look, so joggers, chunky trainers, like a sweatshirt, but then maybe like a nice handbag over the top. So now we are on to teddy coats. I only have 2 teddy coats, and I actually feel like these are probably ones that I wear less often, purely because they are quite a statement. I mean, these are 2 very neutral looking teddy coats. There's no bright colours or crazy fluffiness going on here, but I still think they are quite a statement piece. This one I like a lot. It's probably the more simple of the 2, and it's from Topshop. I've had this for years as well, and I usually wear this when I just want to like pop out to the shops and need something really cozy and warm. It has a really great little collar to it as well, and I again should probably try and wear this a lot more often day to day instead of it being my running up the road coat. It actually zips up in the middle here, and once you have it done up there, it is very cute and very like fluffy, as a teddy coat should be. So very similarly, this one is another teddy coat. It's actually quite different because it's a really oversized look, this one. It's from I.AM.GIA. I think I spent like a month trying to track this coat down because I wanted it so desperately. That was a few years ago, and again, it's one that maybe I don't pull out as much as often, but I think I will forever hang on to it because it was not only so hard to find, but it also is just a great colour and shape. I think it's like the cream of the crop of the teddy coat in general. It's very similar to the Topshop one. It has these big front pockets again. It has a little bit of a collar there on top, which I think actually looks a bit better if you do pop it out. Something still that I could find myself reaching for and wearing all the time, even though my style has changed quite a bit since when I purchased this. This jacket is one that you probably all will recognise and have seen around these parts quite a bit recently. It's one of my favourites at the moment, and it's from Another Stories. It kind of sits somewhere in between teddy jackets and normal jackets because it has this amazing shearling or faux shearling lined all the way through it, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. This coat is perfect for the type of weather we have right now because it's so warm, but at the same time I think it's quite a nicely done coat because it has this black on the outside, and some of the detailing and hardware and things like that around it. It smartens everything up a bit, so it's not like just wearing a big fluffy teddy coat, which to me always looks a lot more casual. This I can wear with a pair of heeled boots, black skinny jeans, and I feel like it's a bit more of a smarter approach to wearing a warm coat. So I get so much wear out of this. I also usually pick this as my dog walking coat because again it has massive pockets, and I stay nice and toasty. This one actually has a very similar look to the last coat, but actually is completely different. This is one of those Aviator style jackets. It's actually like a faux leather and then has a faux fur on the inside. This again is one that I've had for absolutely years, and I'm kind of always very reluctant to say goodbye to it or to move it on to a new home because although it's only from Topshop, it's such amazing quality. It's so heavy that it's kind of hurting my arm as I hold it up here. It's really well made and the structure is beautiful. Personally, I think these Aviator style leather jackets will never go out of fashion. When something is based on a vintage design, then I think it is always going to come back around. So again, I hold on to this because I know I'll probably always be able to wear it and love it. I think I bought this in an oversized fit before I was into oversized fits without even really thinking about it. It's just such a cool jacket. Whenever I end up putting this back on, I always just want to wear it again. The detailing on this one is very simple as well. It's just got a few little buckles and zips, nothing too over the top or too fancy. But I think something like this really goes to show that you can invest in a high street piece that isn't going to break the bank or cost you too much, and it's going to last so well. If you find that one perfect item, you really could have it forever. So now we're kind of into the category of puffer jackets. This is another more recent one that I have been really wearing a lot. It's another Topshop find actually, but it's a very like short little cropped puffer jacket in like a corduroy. There are a lot of these types of jackets around at the moment, but I think this one is very different because of that texture. It feels almost a little bit like a velvet, but it's got this really cute padding and quilting in it. I have a lot of love for this jacket. It is so warm as well. It's super thick and just stuffed full. Also, there's a really cool cuff detail on this. It's got this like inner lining that's elasticated, so it really keeps the warmth in around there. Now this coat kind of makes me a little bit sad because it's one that I don't think I have ever worn. It's from Amazon. They sent this to me from the brand Find. It's the most gorgeous, rich chocolate brown colour, and again, it's in that padded puffer style. I absolutely love this, but I have just never really found an outfit to wear it with. I think because it's such an intense colour is what makes it a little bit trickier. Even for me, I feel like it's too much to wear with all black. Maybe I'd have to break it up with some lighter tones. It is such a shame because it's such a gorgeous thing. I feel like maybe if I had this in a bit more of an oversized look, I'd maybe wear it more then if I'd gone a few sizes up. But I hang on to it still because I love it. I think it's gorgeous, and I hold hope that one day I will find a way to wear this and to style it. So for the last of these really like thick warm coats, I have the ultimate sensible coat. This is my sensible coat, which I've had for a while now, and I never really wear much here on videos or on Instagram, but the small snippets and occasions that I have done, I've surprisingly had so many questions about it. I feel like you all feel me in the struggle to find just a basic, simple, warm winter coat. So this one I actually found in H&M. I was so surprised at the quality of it and how good it felt, considering it was not that expensive. Obviously you can go down the route of the very thick, like purposely made winter coats, which are gonna keep you super toasty. I do feel like most of them have like a goose down or some type of further lining, which to me, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not from an extremely cold country, so I feel like I don't warrant the justification of wearing one of those. Anyway, this I think is a perfect substitute. I have worn this to Scotland, which I feel like is the coldest place you can get to in the UK, and it did me very well. So it's just a very simple like black quilted longline coat, kind of goes just about down to my knees. It zips up and buttons up and has a huge hood, so rainy days as well, this one always gets pulled out. Usually when I'm going to the gym and it's disgusting outside, or any other occasion that I need to just be dry and warm and weatherproofed. So now we're moving on to the end of the row, which is kind of my more long line coats. So we have things like trenches and then proper wool coats. I've said this at the end, but I feel like these are some of my favourites as well. So we're going to start with the trench coats first. This one is a little bit on the lighter side. I'd probably kind of stick to wearing this in spring and summer. It does actually say spring summer outerwear on the label here. It's from Zara, but it's not lined, it's very thin, so it's kind of just one of those throw on really nice trenches that you can wear when it's warmer. I think this one was supposed to have a belt, but I have since lost it, or it's fallen off. I'm not sure what really happened there. I've had this for a long time though, and again it's one that I just pull out every single year. I think when you're sort of going through your coats and deciding whether you really can justify holding onto them or not, you have to ask yourself if you've worn them in the last year. For me, it's a yes. I always pull this one out around the same time. I think it's just down to it being very light, very easy to throw on. The colour is really gorgeous. It's quite a light khaki. It's a bit of a different shade to anything else that I have. It has tortoiseshell buttons, 10 points. I have just realised as well that the next two trench coats I'm going to talk about are both also from Zara. So obviously they have been doing something right when it comes to trench coats. This one is more of your very standard classic MAC. It's got that very soft, like nylon-y feel to it, which I think is what this is made out of. Has the belt, has the little back flap there, which I know has a name. It definitely has a bit more structure to it than the first one. Because it's lined, it is fully lined, which keeps it a bit warmer. It's still a very light, like very easy to throw on type of coat. But I love how classic this one is. The styling of the buttons and the cuffs here as well. I don't often do my trench coats up, if ever actually. I feel like they don't really suit me the best like that, but I will always wear them just kind of open. Now this one is without doubt my favourite trench coat. I talk about this a lot. Zara did very, very well with this one, and I think the reason I love it so much is just it's so long. I can't even really fit it into the frame. It's just a super long line coat, and that's really what I've been gravitating towards more recently. It's just something that is very long, slightly oversized, very blocky, and just gives like an almost androgynous feel and vibe to it. Like this could be unisex, anybody could wear it. That is what I love so much about this one. It's actually very simple. There's no cuffs on this, and there isn't a belt. I don't think it even has the little shoulder flap thing. It does have these pockets and then obviously some buttons, but that is about it. It's very simply styled, and I just love it so much. There's so many times and occasions when I have thrown this on and it's just been perfect. I also think it looks great, really, really pared down. So with a pair of joggers, chunky trainers, sweatshirt, that type of look, and then this on top, it just works great. I love it when I find these pieces in my wardrobe like this coat that are just so versatile. They can go with anything that I throw at them. So now we are on to our proper coats. This is what I'd really describe as like an actual winter coat. This I have to talk about first because it is one of my favourite things. I've said that quite a few times now, but there are definitely 3, 4 or 5 coats in this rack that are just undisputable and would be the ones I grabbed if I had to just pick a handful. So this is from H&M. I got this, I'm gonna say a couple of years ago now. Very oversized, which is what I love. I didn't intend for it to be so oversized. I got this in a 10, which is about a size down from my normal 12. I bought it without trying it on because I knew I loved it, and got it back, and it was very big and very kind of like dropped down on my shoulders, and I had a lot of room to it, and I absolutely loved that. I feel like this really kind of started my love affair with oversized coats. Super long line, really goes down very far, has like gorgeous like just straight silhouette, and it's kind of almost like a teddy style. It has a very teddy like soft material to it, which is beautiful and very warm and cozy. Has a couple of like big buttons here on the cuffs and down the middle. This is just such a great coat, and I really haven't pulled it out as much as I should have this year and this winter, but now that I have found it again, it definitely will be being worn on the regular for sure. This one is kind of a similar style. Most of these coats are the same kind of long line, lapel, belted type coats, because that's the style that I love. This one is in a gorgeous chocolate brown, which I only rediscovered a few weeks ago, and I have been wearing it a lot since then. I love the way black and brown go together. To me, this outfit is just great. Again, it's really long, comes down just about towards my ankles. This one is another Zara find. I think we all have to agree that Zara just do coats so very well. If you find a good coat from Zara, you know you are onto a winner. This one is actually a little bit different in terms of style. It's a cocoon coat, so it's got a slightly different shape, especially around the shoulders. I find this coat to be quite cute, just the way it sits. It's very structured and it kind of just holds its shape really well. And it has these very adorable little collars just popping out there, and it isn't open, it kind of comes all the way around up there, so it just kind of hangs very straight down, and you can see the shoulders are a bit more of like that drop shoulder, but very exaggerated. It's not the longest, but it definitely does come down, I'd say, just below my knees, so still very long line. I actually really love the colour of this one. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's grey, but it's a very cool toned taupe, which, as you can tell, I don't really have anything else like. I quite like the details of this because the buttons are actually the same colour as the coat, so they blend in, same as on the cuffs here. I always like a little belted cuff. I feel that's such a great detail to have on a coat. This is actually from the H&M premium range, I believe, which is such a great place to shop if you're wanting to find something on the high street with a slightly more manageable price, but you want something that is better quality. Definitely have a look there because some of their pieces are beautiful. They're really, really worth the money. This is actually one of my favorites as well. It's kind of like the wild card because it is quite different to anything else that I have. It's green. You might not be able to tell that from far away, but it is a really rich, dark, like forest green and has such a fluffy, even fluffier than the H&M one, texture. It's from ASOS and is so hugely oversized, it's actually quite ridiculous. I got this in a size 8, which is by no stretch of the imagination my size at all, but it's still massive and huge, and you know what, I absolutely love that. This is probably the longest coat I own. It really does go down to my ankles, and even the sleeves, they're just so huge. They have this very exaggerated belt cuff across there with the buttons. The lapels are massive. They are pretty much the size of my entire body. And it's just a huge, amazing blanket coat. So warm. I have so much love for this coat. I really should probably wear it a lot more than I do. Every time I pull it out, I just instantly fall back in love with it again. So we're on to the kind of black winter coats, which I only have 2 of. They're quite different in the style. This one is from Madewell. It's one that I've had for quite a while. Very, very well made, and it's kind of just like the perfect, slightly structured black coat. So there's no belt or any details on the cuffs. It has a very simple little button just here on the side. It's not the longest on me. Again, it's just kind of below my knee. You can see the bottom there. But it's a really great like dressy coat. So if you want a thick black coat to wear on top of something that is a bit smart, a bit more of an evening look, this is so perfect. And that's usually the time that I pull it out, when I just want something a bit fancier. I think for every day as well, it can also be worn very casually too. It's very simple. The actual structure of it around here reminds me a lot of a blazer. I probably don't wear this one as much as I could, however, because of this next coat that I'm going to talk about, which is my most worn coat in this entire collection. I'm sure you guys have all been waiting for me to mention this. I don't think I even need to, because you're all very familiar with it by now. But this is my black Zara coat. Just everything about this is great. The structure, the size, the details, the length, every single one of those ticks boxes for me. It has nice big lapels. I always do like a coat with lapels. It has button detailing on the cuffs and a slight drop shoulder, nothing too exaggerated, but something that just gives it a little bit more of an oversized feel. The material is very warm and thick, but it's not heavy. It's actually a very lightweight coat considering, you know, how much there is to it. Has a little belt here. I never do this up, but I just love that detail that it adds to the back. And then the length is great. It's one of my longer coats, stops just before my ankle, and the whole structure of this just has great lines, great shaping, and it's so versatile. I wear this with everything. I'm actually a little bit out of breath now because that took quite a bit of effort, but that is my entire coat collection. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. You now know exactly what the inside of my wardrobe looks like. I was wondering if I could do this for anything else. So if I had any other collections of things, but the only type of video that came to mind was like a handbag collection, which is something that I do quite frequently on here anyway. So while I'm kind of going through the process of organising my wardrobe, I think I'll maybe pop one of those up separately, but the rest will all lump into one. Thank you all so much for watching this. If I do find any of these still on sale or anything really similar, I will link them down below with all the details. That is all from me today, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.